Namaste and welcome to another episode of the IBPC INSPIRE Fireside Chat, a series where we sit down with leaders who have not only excelled in their fields, but also inspired many others by the way they live their values. Today's guest is Miss Jayshree Gupta, founding partner of Think, the in-house company, a pioneering legal consultancy she built after a distinguished career with some of the world's leading law firms. With dual qualifications in India and England, 30 plus years of experience, and recognition as one of the region's most influential women lawyers, her journey is rich with lessons for professionals, entrepreneurs, and families alike. Before we begin, let me briefly trace her path. After her early years at Fox & Gibbons in Dubai, which later became a part of Dentons, she became managing partner at DLA Piper UAE in 2006 when the firm entered the region. In 2014, she moved as partner to Baker & McKinsey. By 2018, she took the entrepreneurial leap to set up Think, where she is founding partner. Along the way, she also served 7 years on the DIFC's Regulatory Supervision Committee, shaping the region's financial and legal landscape. And across this journey, she's been consistently recognized on Arabian business power lists as one of the Gulf's most influential women lawyers. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Miss Jayshree Gupta. Jayshree, a very warm welcome to you.
Thank you.
You grew up in two different worlds, different legal traditions. What drew you to law in the first place, and what shaped your mindset?
Well, I'm not sure how honestly I should answer this question because actually I grew up with the likes of Sushma Seth and Nasiruddin Shah, Amrish Puri, Salim Gaush, Satyadev Dubey, all those greats who did a lot of things on speech, diction, acting, etc., and gotten myself an acting degree. So when I decided to do something a little bit more serious, I thought, how hard can it be to be a lawyer? All you need to do is stand up in front of the judge and say a few intelligent things and you win the case and that's about it.
Like in the movies.
Yeah, exactly. But obviously that was a big shock, right? Because you actually have to be over-prepared in front of the judge. So really that's how I sort of drifted into law. And obviously my mother was an adoption specialist, so she did inter-country adoption. And I saw how the legal framework sometimes really let her down. And it was sort of like my dream to be able to change that legal framework because there were so many roadblocks to her clients adopting children and leaving the country with Indian children, etc. So at one level, I thought sort of like, yes, there's so much to change in the law, and it would be so great to be in a position to do that. And in another level, I thought, okay, this must be easy because all you do is talk all day, which kind of comes naturally to me.
So you then moved on to some of the most prominent global law firms around Fox & Gibbons, which now through successive mergers is Dentons, DLA Piper, and then Baker & McKinsey. At a time when the legal landscape in the Gulf was still evolving. What then told you this is the place where I must anchor my career in?
Well, when I got here in the early 1990s, Fox & Gibbons was the oldest law firm. And, with me being super ambitious and super sort of like orientated towards, like I said to you, changing the legal landscape, I thought it's probably good for my career if I try and join the oldest law firm that has, significant awareness and knowledge of the region. We had 4 partners, all very different personalities that I used to work with. So one was literally sort of the kingpin. I mean, everybody in Dubai knows him, Jeremy Key, like from way back. He was sort of the kingpin. He didn't speak very much. He just left me lots of post-it notes, and I was supposed to decipher everything from those post-it notes. I had another one who was like all over the place, super entrenched in like his social life. So I ended up doing all the work. I had another one who was determined to train me. And then I had a female partner who was sort of really like my mentor. So I literally had 4 different partners training me at the beginning of my career, pushing me to my super limit. And I think that really set me up for the future.
You advised royalty, global corporates, and celebrities. High-stake clients come with high pressures. How did you manage to keep your calm when you were in that spotlight?
So I think a lot of it is driven by how much you prepare. So I'm kind of a big believer in over preparing. You feel less pressure when you know you're prepared. It's like a sport, right? Like, I mean, you know, I play golf for fun, but I also play a lot competitively. And the more I prepare, the more I practice, the better I'm going to be in a competitive environment or situation. And that's exactly how I approach law.
That's a takeaway for a lot of people here. Yeah? Okay.
It sounds very nerdy, but it's true. Over prepare.
It's actually a mantra for success. So thank you for sharing this nugget. Now, 2018 was a turning point. You founded Think. You left behind the comfort of these global law firms to found a consulting enterprise, a more agile, shall we say, more client-centric enterprise. What was the spark behind that leap of faith?
That's a great question, because I was in a very comfortable position and role at Baker McKenzie. But I thought at some point that I've been here like 25 years in the Middle East. I've created a lot of goodwill. I've created a lot of knowledge. And the one thing that happens when you're with 3 of the world's largest law firms is that you don't get to have your own narrative. So I thought like there's a combination of factors here. Number one, if I have my own firm, I get to have my own narrative. Number 2, I get to be closer to or be more like a trusted advisor and do much more for my existing clients. So for me, I thought, okay, this is a really great way to challenge myself. And what's really the worst that could happen? Like I build something up, it doesn't work. Okay, I'll just go back to working at Baker or one of the other firms, because I left all my firms on an amazing note, had the best leaving parties ever. So I was like, okay, this can't be a bad scenario. And kind of I've never looked back. I've had the firm 8 years now, and sort of we're growing, you know, sustainably. I don't want to be too busy either. So it's sort of like a fun ride.
And so when you made that shift, what was the mindset shift like?
You do have that belief that a lot of people will come and work with you, will remember the work that you did for them, and will obviously also try you for other aspects. So for example, if they knew me as a corporate lawyer and I suddenly said to a huge client of mine, you know, that I can help you on your real estate projects or whatever, they have to believe you, right? They have to trust you, because it's a lot of money, it's a lot of time, it's obviously a lot of exposure for them if they get a crappy lawyer on the job, right? So that was the main thing, the transition to believing in yourself and sort of translating that into the belief that you see in your clients.
I guess every entrepreneur who's worked for large firms and goes about setting up a small, his or her own firm, faces these challenges, yeah?
Yeah, I guess so. I think that's a big part of like the leap, right? It's like literally a leap of faith.
It's also a leap for the clients to make.
My clients were really happy because I was cheaper and more available. So I'm not sure they were grumbling.
Okay.
So that was a good thing. And then when you start to be more of an in-house sort of advisor, much closer to the teams, you start to understand the dynamics of each of the clients better. In a big law firm, as a partner, you don't always have time to do that because you're rushing around doing, you know, management stuff, you're rushing around doing legal stuff, you're rushing around managing people and teams, which I found was the hardest for me. Like, it's not like I'm not a people's person. Like, you know, we're in IBPC and it's a great environment. We network, we meet a lot of people. But it's difficult to manage a lot of people because it takes a lot of time. And it takes time away from law, something that I actually love doing. I didn't train to be a manager or, you know, an HR person. If that was my love, different. But I actually like to do the law.
That's what you call the administrative payload of a senior position. The more senior you become in the organization, the more you're managing admin matters and emotional matters, and less the core competency that you came with in the first place. Noted. So, and then you served 7 years in parallel, yeah, with the DIFC Regulatory Appeals Committee, I think it was.
Yeah. There was all kinds of people applying into the DIFC at the time, right? So you had to see what was the right vision for what was going to go on in DIFC, and you had to sort of pave the way for what is now a very strong sort of DFSA and a very strong regulatory regime. So it was really like the building blocks. It took a long time, and it was many years.
Tell me about it. I set up a Cat 2 company, and I was the SEO, and it took some time.
Yeah.
The better part of a year, actually.
But the great thing for me, the takeaway for me, was whilst we were writing judgments and things like that in that role, I was working with some very senior bankers. Like one of my mentors was Robert Owen, who was really the SFC head, who set up the Hong Kong Securities and Futures Commission, literally. And it was really interesting to see how a lawyer and finance people and bankers of that kind of reputation, that kind of vintage, actually worked together. I mean, I was the youngest, so I got all the bad jobs, I think, but it was fun.
No, we tend to think you had the front row seat and you got to see a lot of what was happening in Dubai. But then when you were there, you must have felt, hey, this is a turning point for this economy. So what were some of those turning points? And now, what do you think lies ahead?
Well, that's a great question. I think the biggest turning point was the fact that we were rising to the challenge of the bigger financial markets around us for a Dubai that wasn't seen to be in that space at all. This was setting the scene up for really big financial companies and institutions to bring their base, literally between the time zones of London and Singapore into this region. And we've seen that, right? We've also seen it now replicated, and Abu Dhabi Global Markets has had a significant amount of success as well. It wasn't an easy ride. It wasn't just creating a couple of really lovely buildings and the gate and the village and saying, off we go. It was a difficult ride because you had to vet the companies, you had to make sure everybody was here for the right reasons, and you had to make sure they saw Dubai in the same vision as, obviously His Highness the ruler did. So there were lots of great things that happened in those years.
Very well. And the prognosis for the future?
Wait, what, AI? Everything's going to be AI? No. I mean, I think I always see my career and my life cycle very connected to that of Dubai and the UAE's. Weirdly, there's been ups and downs, there's been good things and bad things, there's been recession, and then there's been back up again. But the one thing that I see is that the people keep coming. So I think there's going to be a number of things. There's going to be a continued push towards governance. There's going to be a continued push towards technology. But I think there is also heritage and values here. And there is lots of us who are building our families and the next generation coming through here, which is actually what's probably going to change the city and the country in the long term. All our kids who are studying here or even going abroad, I see them all coming back. And that's when I see the real progress of Dubai and the country.
That optimum blend of the East and the West, I think, is quintessentially Dubai.
Yes.
Very well put. Now, beyond the boardrooms and the legal briefs, moving on to that area of your life, you've taken to golf. Now, this is a game that requires patience, precision, persistence, and several other desirable attributes. What drew you to it? And what parallels can you draw between golf and living life in general?
A lot. What drew me to it? My mother used to play bridge, and my father used to play golf and billiards. And I didn't want to be closeted with all these women playing bridge because they were loud and they were really difficult to deal with. And I was like, oh my God, hats off to my mother for dealing with this bridge group. So I thought, okay, let's just try golf and hang out with my dad. So it was almost like, de facto, you just became a golfer in the family. I was lucky to start young, so I'm able to play at a really good standard. But I see some people starting in their 50s, 40s, 30s, because many people think it's a slow game.
Yeah.
You don't need a lot to be able to play. No, you need flexibility. You need mental strength. You need the ability to walk 18 holes. You need a lot of like physical attributes to play well. I mean, you saw that with Tiger Woods,
Indeed,
right? I mean, he
indeed.
changed the way people perceived golf in terms of the physical aspects of the game. And I guess the way you play golf is how you do business and how you live your life. So somebody who cheats at golf is a complete pariah.
I've heard that before.
You are not accepted. And if that's how you play golf, then that's probably how you live your life or probably how you do your business, which means that's a big red flag for me.
Right.
So if I take a couple clients to play golf or we're all in a sort of a situation or a corporate day together, you can see people's behavior and you can see how they play the sport usually reflects on how they act
Do
as a human
business.
being.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Very
not
well.
a 100% thing, but I would say it's a 99.9% thing.
It's reflective, yeah?
Very much.
Great. To our viewers, this is just the first half of a very special conversation. Stay tuned for part 2. You won't want to miss it.